All right. So I'm Francis Balika, officially,
Hey.
and I'm an intern with Melanin Travels Magic. Our director Christina, whom you are friends with. I started working with her somewhere 3 months back, and
Okay.
it's been great so far. Yeah, I usually handle the interviews, the blogging aspect, and from time to time, a few ideas.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a bit about me. For the sake of maybe the people that will be seeing this video, if you could introduce yourself a little bit, that would be
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
no problem. Hey, so my name is Motchum. Really nice to meet you. I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised in Paris,
All right.
France.
Mm.
And so today I'm seeking a new home, which will not be France, but it will be like a country in
All
Africa.
right. Mm.
So I guess this is what we're gonna talk about today.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, basically this just a little bit about me.
All right. All right. Okay. So that being said, I I guess you already know. I'm quite curious about the meaning of your name. The first time I heard it, I was like, where is this name from in Africa? Until Christina mentioned that you are from Cameroon.
Yes, correct,
Yeah.
indeed.
So
So
if you don't mind, I'm just curious about that, the meaning
no,
of it.
sure.
Mm.
Yeah, so both of my parents are from Cameroon.
Mm.
They were born and raised there. A funny story is that my dad is very proud of his heritage, and
Okay.
he's always said that his children, when he will have children, would have African names. For him, it was no way that they would have Christian names or like European names or whatever. He said, my children will have
I give it
African
up
names.
for him.
Yeah. So the meaning of my name
Okay.
is gift of God.
Oh,
Apparently, I don't know.
okay.
You won't be able to check on Google, so
I
just have to
African
trust
flowers,
him.
right?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
trusting him. Like there's no
Yeah.
book or whatsoever.
Sure.
But
All right. Okay. So from the written interview, right? You mentioned something about having some questions during the lockdown, which you sought to answer, which led to excuse my French, as you title it, cinq mois sans pay, right?
yeah, 5 mois, 5 pays.
Okay, so 5 countries in 5 months. So we
Yes.
would say the questions you had, you've been able to answer them during the period of your adventure.
Yes, I did. Honestly, I did. So amongst the question I had was basically like the main one was like,
Mhm.
can I live in an African country?
All right.
Can I start over? Can I make new friends? Because I have all my family, all my friends back home. So can I just do it all over now that
Okay.
I'm 28? Like maybe I don't want to start over.
Yeah,
Will I be able to find a job, a new
sure.
house, all of that? Will I fit in the country? Will I fit in the culture? Will I appreciate the environment?
Um,
How is it to be bored in an African country? How is it to enjoy the soft life
right,
in
right.
African countries? So I had all these questions, but honestly, yes, I was able to answer all of them.
Right. So I'm curious about, the country that sort of, let me say, this kind of revelation came to you that your questions have been answered. So which country was that? I mean, where were you when you felt like, oh, maybe I've really answered these questions for myself?
I don't think there'd be like one country. Honestly,
All
like
right.
as soon as I landed in
Okay.
my first country, which was Senegal, and I was able to just enjoy the weather, very,
Okay.
very, very warm,
Right.
the sun, the people who
Mm.
look like me, the ocean, all of it. It was kind of
Right.
like, okay, I know for sure I'm gonna end up somewhere in Africa. Like I knew I
Right.
was like, this is where I belong. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Honestly, it was pretty easy. To be honest, I just had this feeling that
Yeah.
this is where I belong. I need to be here. So then it was more like other questions, like, making friends, all of it. But you can make friends everywhere, right?
Of course,
So
of course. Right. All right, so I'm curious about my own country. I guess you already know I'm in Ghana, right?
yes.
And according to your countries in the Segway you visited Ghana as well.
Mhm.
So I would like to know what attracted you to my country, especially like what about Ghana probably would you say can make you stay and work in Ghana?
Yeah, so basically the way I was like thinking about other countries I'm gonna visit, I was just like, it just needs to make sense for me,
Okay.
in terms of like, a country with like good economy and like
Okay.
diaspora as well. For me, it was really important to be in a country where it's not just about tourism, but
All
it's
right.
more like, locals, diaspora, expats, all of
Okay.
it mixing
Right.
together. And very easily just, came to my mind that, yeah, something like this is happening in Ghana. And I've heard of like, the year of return that
Yeah.
happened 2 years ago, where
Yeah.
basically the country is just opening to
Mm.
the diaspora or
Yeah.
African Americans, I'd say. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, you know what? I think I really want to include one English speaking country.
Right.
So for me, it was very obvious that it was going to be Ghana, because I knew that, a lot of people are just coming in
Yeah.
Ghana, and they are from the UK, they're from the US, from some francophone countries as well. So I was just like, okay, I need to go there. Like, I know for sure something
Right.
is happening in Ghana and I want to see it.
So
So
this is what I'm going to do, right? I would like to see you here, so I'm going to start praying and fasting. Then you end up in Ghana. Um, so you know, given the timing of all these uncertainties for you, the lockdown and all that, I would say a lot of people equally had all these sort of questions they had to ask, right? Like, what are we
yeah.
even for and all that, because everything was at the edge. So would you admonish anyone who equally has these kind of questions to seek that kind of restoration in Africa?
I mean, honestly, I will just push anyone to do it.
Right.
Like, for sure, there will be some challenges. So, I mean, obviously, if you come from very far, then you should just prepare yourself financially.
Right.
Because especially West Africa, it is not cheap at all. It is not
Yeah,
cheap at
it's
all.
not.
If
It's
you
not.
think that it's going to be like some other countries, like for example, I've been lucky enough to travel in Asia, right? Southeast
Right.
Asia, especially, where accommodation can be very, very affordable. It wasn't the case in West Africa, okay? So you definitely need to prepare. Same for the flight
Yeah.
ticket. They are pretty
Yeah.
expensive as well. So like the financial aspect needs some preparation,
Right. Mm.
like, pay your visa, book
Whoa.
once you're there too much, like finding people, guides, whatever. You don't think you just and see for yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much what I would tell people, like, just leave the moment, like, don't stress too much, just
Yeah.
go and you'll find out always. So
Okay, so about living in the moment, I have this recommendation for you. I don't know whether you know this Nigerian musician, Asa.
which one? Sorry.
Asa, she's a Nigerian musician. I think she's based
Asa.
in the US, yeah.
Okay.
So she has this song she sang with Wizkid, and I really love the message about living in the moment there. So the moment she said that, it just came to mind. After the interview, I'll recommend the song for you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So it's more of, let me say, a norm, right? That Africa has had some kind of bad reputation in other continents, especially Europe and the US. So having explored Africa for say close to half a year, what are some of the myths that you think you've been long hearing while in Europe?
Some of the myth, I would say, basically is like, oh, like African people, like they live in a huts, like very small houses, like no electricity or whatsoever,
Right,
no road.
right.
Um, there's a lot of like sorcery, like, you know, people can just do stuff to you for no reason. No, it's very unsafe. You know, the list can be very long. I kind of like always knew that it was, you know, I knew that it was wrong, but I guess when you're just when they feed you this narrative for like years and years and years, at some point I still think that your mind, you know, is kind of like working on that, and it's like,
right?
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I don't really know. So yeah, maybe it was, I don't know. I think personally, like the myth that I had was actually a bit different. I think I was more like, oh, you know, when I'm gonna go to Africa, it's really gonna be more like of a almost like Wakanda thing, you know, where everyone is so powerful and you know, all of it. So yeah, I don't know. You need to adapt to that. That is not Hollywood is not real.
Okay. About Wakanda, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe Kenya can, you know, take the bet on that. I mean, literally, there are those that are somewhat advancing so much in tech, Kenya, and some of the East African countries and all. So, you know, having had a taste of sweet life and soft life in Africa, you know, I like to refer to it as the mother continent. Would you say you would most probably have a second version of what you've already had, you know?
Will I have a second? Sorry, what?
Sort of, let me say, a part two of
part two.
Bay.
The way I had this vision was that I was going to travel for half a year to answer, you know, all my questions. And so this was going to be like part one. Part two would be picking a country from the list that I had and moving there and working there. And part three, which will be kind of like the last part, would be like to open a business or something like that. So I already had this like journey in mind. So I've done part one, and I'm currently doing part two, which is like looking for a job and making sure that I can go and just have like, you know, one-way tickets, and that's it.
I guess having it in franchise already means you're doing a kind of Wakanda thing yourself. Okay, so I'm out. So one thing I'm quite curious about, you know, from the written interview, I wasn't so sure, but now that you've said it, I think I've had a bit of understanding. I was thinking already you've left the finance, you know, sector, and you are more into travel now, but I think you are still in the finance sector, right?
Yeah, so I think for the next 2 years, I will still need to have this kind of like corporate job so that I can save as much as possible for the business that I will open. So yeah, basically, I think for the next 2 years, I will still need to do this kind of job. Hopefully, I will be able to do it not here in France, but on the continent. Which is a bit tricky to find, but I'm really hopeful that it would work out, and that I will be able to secure a contract anytime soon. So we'll see.
I mean, well, Africa is full of a lot of opportunities. Most of the billionaires are already saying it, so maybe it's going to be hopeful.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, sure. So while going through your IG, by the way, I mean, while going through your IG, I think 2 days back, you had a story from this IG page that you tagged on your status, and there was a checklist of stuff that have happened to you or stuff that you've done, and one of them that you think was you missed the flight.
Yes, I have.
I was wondering if that's during your adventure or is entirely different.
But hopefully it wasn't in Africa. So I've personally, I've traveled to 35 countries in my life. And that was, it happened on it happened twice. I've missed a
Oh,
flight when I was in Asia.
yeah.
I needed to fly from, I think it was from Thailand to Taiwan.
Okay.
So
Right.
I missed one flight, and then another time I missed my flight back from Finland to France as well. So yeah, but thankfully it wasn't in Africa. Honestly, like the price of the flight tickets are
For
so
sure.
expensive. Like, yeah,
For
there's no
sure.
way. There's no way.
Right. Right. So so the sort of thing I would say, I think some days back I was discussing with you that I literally just took some time off because I was feeling like my mental health is quite, threatened given all the clutter that happens in the day and all that. So what worked for me was I visited a water body, right? Twice. Then fortunately where we are is quite hilly. So sometimes if you're on one of the hills, you can literally see the whole town in the night. Right.
Wow.
So that sort of helped for a week. And giving that kind of like spiritual, say restoration, would you say, like, especially in the time that we are where mental health and all that is hiking almost everywhere, do you think Africa is sort of the spot for you to find that kind of spiritual restoration?
I think so, but at the same time, I know that it isn't for everyone. That I'm
Right.
not going to push like this narrative
Mm.
for anyone, but for me, it was definitely like
Okay.
being, I don't know, I just found out that I was at peace, just being
Yeah.
in a different environment, seeing different people, being, meeting people who just help you for nothing. Like they don't
Yeah. Right.
necessarily ask
Mm-hmm.
for money. If you, for example, I've traveled to Benin.
Okay.
um Coming from Cameroon, like some people are like, oh, are you going to Benin, like sorcery, all of it. But I knew that,
Yeah.
like I knew it was wrong. Like I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I needed to see it for myself, and
Right.
I went there, and it was so peaceful. Honestly, it was so peaceful, and it was so interesting for me
Mm-hmm.
to learn about like an African um religion, if I can say that,
Right.
something different. Like I
Voodoo,
really
right?
needed to see it to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was honestly, it was really interesting. It was so, so interesting. And I would push anyone to just go and
Mm-hmm.
experience it for yourself.
Right.
Um, so yeah, for me being in an African country is really helping. At the same time, I know you could have like some challenges as well, especially
Sure.
if you're a
Sure.
foreigner, which
Mm-hmm.
which can make your life also a bit difficult. I'm not going to say like, oh,
It's
just
all.
move to Africa, everything is going to be perfect. It is not
Mm-hmm.
the case. You're going to have
Yeah.
many challenges, but it's just the same everywhere in the world.
Right.
You always have
Mm-hmm.
challenges, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be stressful. I'm not going to say
Sure.
that it's going to
Sure.
be perfect and stressless,
Yeah.
but yeah,
You
I don't
find
know.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like you're going to meet people that are really like stress free and will introduce you to other kind of even medicine. Let's say when you're
Yeah.
sick, instead of giving you like pills, they will give you, like maybe a kind of like tea, or something,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
plants. So it's also different for your body, I feel. So
Sure. Okay, so your IG really gave me a lot of questions to ask you. So I saw quite a series of posts from when you were in Côte d'Ivoire, right?
okay.
You had these art nights,
Yes.
a lot of restaurant scenes, brunch time, all that. So what was Abidjan like, and generally Côte d'Ivoire like? What was it like, for you?
Honestly, it was very interesting because it was very unique in my
Yeah.
5 months, 5 countries trip.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, when I landed in Abidjan, I got sick, and then I had some issues at the Airbnb that I rented, and I basically,
Mhm.
like, the girl was definitely not gonna give me my money back, and I
Yikes.
made the huge mistake of doing it outside of Airbnb instead of
Right.
inside Airbnb, just to save some money, but it was
Mhm.
not worth it at all. So basically, like my first week in Abidjan was horrible, to be honest. Like I wasn't feeling very well. I don't know. I wanted to leave the place where I was, but at the same time, I didn't have enough money to like just give up
Yeah.
the money and move to
Mhm.
another place. And then I don't know. I met this girl,
Yeah.
Dani, who I'm really thankful for. who's from Côte d'Ivoire and who was
Right.
organizing like a trip, in the country. And she was basically saying that there was like a spot that was open and I could join on the trip and I didn't need to pay for it. So I was just like,
Oh.
what? Okay. So basically I accepted and I went for a 10-day
Yeah.
road trip in Côte d'Ivoire, which was amazing. And honestly,
Right.
after that, it kind of like changed my, my mindset on all of it. So when I came back, I don't know, I felt much better. And even
Yeah.
though I was still staying in the same place, I just went out, restaurants, as you said. I
Yeah.
went movie night for movie night. I went, for art night, and yeah, I just enjoyed it. And that was nice. That was a different experience in comparison to the other countries where
Okay.
I didn't have like this issue of housing, but yeah, it was interesting. It
Yeah.
wasn't like my favorite place, I would say, just because I guess from what I've seen, it was a lot of like showing off, like um, buying a lot of alcohol, going to
Yeah.
nightclub, all of it, um, which is not necessarily what I was, what I'm seeking in Africa.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't know it was interesting. It wasn't
Yeah.
my favorite, to be honest, but it was interesting.
All right. So can I guess? Maybe Senegal was. Did you get
Was
me?
my favorite? You
Yeah.
think Senegal was my favorite?
Yeah. I
Okay,
want to believe.
no,
Oh. Right.
it
Why
wasn't. Yeah,
not?
it wasn't. It wasn't. I think it was. It's probably due to the food, to be honest. I'm not like a
Yeah.
very big fan of the
Okay.
Senegalese cuisine. However, I would
Yeah.
say if you want me to tell you which country was my
Yeah,
favorite,
I do.
yeah, it was Benin.
Oh.
Benin was my favorite. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think you went to the Black River, La Rivière Noire, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
I think
Yeah.
I saw a picture also about it.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just felt like honestly, I think Benin is really like the underdog
Yeah,
kind of country in West Africa. Like not maybe more now, but like a lot of people don't really talk about it. And to
sure,
be
sure.
honest, it wasn't even gonna be on my list. But because I have a really good friend who's from,
Okay.
Beninese heritage, she was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you need to go there. Like, trust me, you need to go to Benin. You need to visit this country. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it." And I was
Um,
like, "You know what? Okay, why not? I'm gonna go there."
yeah,
And honestly, I was so surprised, like how
yeah.
well developed it is, and the
Mm-hmm.
people were just like super, super chill, like really
Sure,
chill,
sure.
not like showing off or like I don't know. I really felt like this was home. Like I made a lot of
Yeah,
friends and everyone was just so chill. Like I loved it. I
yeah.
just loved it. Yeah.
And I mean, hearing you say that, it just amazes me how, like the opposite is true, where others just believe Benin is like the evil place, especially given that voodoo is from there, their sort of official religion. And but I mean, like I've been in an interview with Beninese as well, and he really caused me to search a lot about Benin. And for real, there are a lot of nice places to explore in that country. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yes. And it's more affordable as well. Like
Mhm.
honestly, vacationing in Dakar or Abidjan is like super expensive, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Cotonou for now is still much more affordable.
Mhm.
You're very close to like other countries, but
Yeah,
just within Benin, you have a lot of things to see if you want to
sure.
explore. But honestly, I really just enjoyed the city is really nice and
Yeah,
they're
right.
doing more and more constructions as well. So I
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
think that a few years time is just going to be like, wow, oh, this is a place where everyone needs to go and enjoy
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, I'm actually I'm offering real estate currently. And I think one time I came across this video that was about, I think it's sort of a joint project between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire where they are constructing this railway leading from one of the cities in Nigeria straight into Benin. And I was like,
okay,
this is really going to boost a lot of business, like you can literally go there, work and come back, especially for Nigerians, given that they don't have much jobs and all that. Really, Benin is
yeah,
heading for greatness.
Yeah,
So
honestly.
I've not seen on your IG that you posted about Ghana and which other country? I think South Africa
Not
and
yet.
Rwanda. So I'm really just not going to ask anything about it because I know you are saving it for greatness. So
No, yeah, I know. The interview was a little too early, if I can say that for me, because I was like, I haven't finished posting, all the countries,
yeah,
but
yeah.
um,
So we are really just great on that. We
uh,
would love the surprise. So anyone watching, I'll recommend that they follow your IG and all. So I'll
cool,
include the links when I'm doing the editing of this video. So
amazing.
yeah, I know Tanzania is not really part of this discussion, but I think you've been there before, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how was it like?
Honestly, this was like the really first African countries where I went
Oh,
for like vacations. I would say like, yeah,
no,
purely
okay.
vacations. And I went there solo as well. So I was solo traveling
No.
to Tanzania. It was so amazing. It was really like just so beautiful, incredible. Honestly, I just recommend it to everyone to go there,
Yeah.
because not only you can go and see, like the mountains, you can also go for a safari. You can
Mm-hmm.
go to Zanzibar and enjoy like the crystal clear water,
Oh
white
yes.
sand, and all of it. Honestly, it's just so
Yeah.
so so beautiful,
All
so
right.
beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I like to ask a lot of travelers like yourself is, people that are not much into travel perceive the passion of traveling to be an expensive sort of, passion for others. But compared to technology and fashion and others that people do love, are you of the same view that, travel is expensive?
I mean, it can be, honestly. I think it really just depends on everyone's budget, right? Like, I don't know
Right.
everyone's situation. If you're just like struggling to pay your bills, it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be something out of your reach. But if you're able to spend a lot of money on clothes or on alcohol, like bottles in the club, I think then
Yeah.
rather than doing that, she can definitely like go outside of your country or stay within your country, but then visit other regions.
Right.
I think it's just a mindset. Like some people
Sure.
imagine that it's way, way, way too expensive, but you don't need to travel to like a 5-star hotel, right? You can
Yeah.
travel to like B&B,
Mhm.
guest houses, like something cheap. Like you can find affordable options. If you can't afford like flight tickets, for example, you might as well look for other type of transportations, such
Sure.
as
Sure.
buses.
Sure.
And you do have buses in a lot of
Yeah.
regions, especially in West Africa, where you can, if you live in Ghana, you have buses that will take you to Benin. You have buses
Sure.
that will take to Togo and
Yeah.
to Côte d'Ivoire. So it's definitely doable
Mhm.
if you just take some time to do some research. And
Sure.
if you find it too, how do I say, time consuming, you can also
Mhm.
reach out to travel planners and
Yeah.
give your
Yeah.
budget to them, and they will just do like the whole planning for you.
Sure.
Which may help some people who find it too difficult to like organize travels.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
I don't think it necessarily has to be expensive. Like you can make it affordable
Right.
if don't struggle to like pay bills, like just set your priorities. But
Yeah.
once you can afford, yes, I don't think it's that expensive, I'd say.
All right. So you've made quite a number of friends in Africa, right?
Yes.
And that would be somewhat right. Think maybe you've understood a little bit about the culture of people, having explored a number of countries. So I've had the Beninese friend of mine tell me, right, that by the way, he's called Angel. I'm sure
Sorry.
probably I think he follows you on IG. Angel.
Angel.
Yeah, he's a Beninese travel expert. He's based in
Should be
Benin.
Ola. Ola.
Yeah, Ola. Yeah, Ola.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know Ola.
yeah,
I've met him in Benin, actually.
yeah.
Yes.
So in conversation with him, what he told me was he believes that, the culture of Africans do not really allow us to, the luxury of thinking travel is normal. It's more of you just keep to yourself, keep to your place. So I haven't made a number of friends in Africa. Do you think, this holds?
I mean, I guess it's really just due to people's situations, right? Like some people have other priorities, so they definitely do not have time to think about travels.
Yeah.
But I guess, like once people just reach a certain standard of living, then they will have this more in mind. But basically for other people, I think we do understand, like, how travel can be, very interesting, and that it's worth it to travel. At the same time, I do feel as well that we need more image, we need more representations as well.
Right.
Like if you don't know what a place looks like, why would you go? Instead, if you're not like an explorer, super traveler, super explorer, like if you don't know what Benin looks like, why would you go? So I think we just need like more images, more representations, more people going and being vocal about this country, so that others are like, oh wow, that looks really cool, like I also want to go there. And
right. So for youth like myself and others that are, let me say, of African descent, both on the continent and the diaspora, what advice would you have for us, having to encourage us to go into travel?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I would just say that you will be able to experience things that you have never before if you just, take a leap of faith. You will maybe be able to make new connections, which will lead you maybe to get a new job. Maybe you will meet the love of your life while you travel. Like there's so many opportunities you can. Like it happens. It happens.
Sure.
Not to me though. But
yeah,
it happens. Like people have new work opportunities just because they travel. It's not just about leisure and just like going like swimming or whatever. Like it's not just all about that. Could be like if you're in a really bad mental situation as well and you need like some time to relax, it can help a lot if you're thinking about like, oh, I really want to secure new clients for my business, or I want a new job contract. You never know who you might be able to meet during your travels. And I feel like people are more open-minded when they travel. So I think that can be really interesting. Yes. That's why I would push anyone to do it.
All right. Okay. I hope to meet you, this probably one in a million, right? But I hope to meet you in a plane one day out of the blues while traveling, All right.
That would be really fun.
Sure. So all too soon, I would say I've come to the end of my questionnaires, and it was really a nice time. Especially given that, it took us a long while of planning to get here,
Yeah, but we managed.
I was riding like crazy just to come set up in time before I lose you. So I'm really grateful that you made time for it. And 100% I would say this was a nice time. And I look forward to having, more conversations like these with you and others as well. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me as well. And I hope I will have the opportunity to update you about my journey, once I move on the continent, and you will know in which country, because I don't know yet which country that will be. When I go to part 3, opening a business, I hope we will have this update, conversation. That would be really nice.
Sure, fingers crossed.
Yes.
All right. So you have other things planned, right? I will not delay you. So you have a nice day ahead, and thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful Sunday.
Sure. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Right.